can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Hey, everybody. This is John Corcoran with Dr. Jeremy Wise, and this episode is a little bit different. This is a live interview that we recorded at the Global Leadership Conference from Entrepreneurs Organization, where some of the best entrepreneurs from around the globe gathered in Washington, D.C. to share ideas and to learn about entrepreneurship. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25, where we help B2B businesses to give to and to connect to their Dream 100 relationships and partnerships, helping you to run a podcast so that it generates a referral pipeline and ROI.
Yeah, I mean, John, after both of us have been podcasting for over a decade, the number one thing in our life is relationships. And we're always looking at ways to give to our best relationships. And we found no better way to do that over the past decade than to profile the people and companies we admire and shout from the rooftops what they're working on. And this interview is no different. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should go to rise25.com to learn more, or email us at support@rise25.com.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the interview.
Enjoy. Jeremy Weiss here. We're live from EOGLC, brought to you by Rise 25. I'm here with Jane, and Jane is speaking a little bit. But Jane, tell people about your company and what you do.
Yeah, so I started a digital video interviewing company, which is one-way asynchronous videos that replace the phone screen stage of the recruitment process. Started that about 7 years ago, and then about 18 months ago sold that to a US private equity firm. So being a non-tech, tech female founder in Australia.
Who raised money also?
Yeah, I did 2 rounds of capital raising on my own without a broker as well, which was really interesting actually, because I found that my male counterparts who were raising money at the same time, there were some distinct differences where they would be incredibly aspirational and be very big with their valuations, even when they didn't have a single client, of which I was fortunate. I had a number of clients using my technology before I went for the first round. But I found men and women would be asking male founders very different questions to me, such as, tell me about the growth trajectory of your business, and what else could we be doing to maximize the total addressable market, versus questions that I was being asked was very much about how are you going to protect the downside, how are you going to minimize any risks in the business. And so when I started to observe the differences, it was a bit of a mind shift for me to be able to make sure I answered the questions in response in a positive, aspirational way. And as soon as I clicked over in that, I raised the money.
What was the hardest part about raising money?
The hardest part was I kept getting asked, what's your moat? How are you going to protect this business? I had no IP protection. I chose intentionally not to go down to protect the IP of the business. I was kind of caught in the very first round. I was caught between a rock and a hard place, because I wasn't quite yet big enough for VC, but yet too big for seed rounds. So I think it was trying to get my groove right and get the pitch right to the audience. So I did that, but yeah, it was quite a battle doing it on my own rather than, as I say, using a broker or anyone like that. So, yeah.
So did the type of clients you served in the beginning, did it change from the beginning till now, or were you always looking? Who are the types of clients that you were serving in the beginning and compared to now?
Yeah, so actually I intentionally started to serve the enterprise market. I was very particular about not serving SMBs, because it's all about volume in my game, the volume of candidates that go through, and so I needed large organizations who hired a lot of people and also had a number of candidates applying for jobs, which is where the technology helps solve some problems by reducing the amount of time an organization would spend screening a candidate. So the early clients, which I would pick up anywhere. Anyone who wanted to use my technology, I would obviously give it to in the enterprise space. And I remember my first government client was a very large tier 1 Australian government body. And I was on the dance floor. She said, "What do you do?" And I told her what I did and gave her my card and rang her up the next day and said, "Hey, let's get this show on the road." So that was an early win. But
you mastered your pitch if you can get it down on the dance floor.
Yeah, 100%. And then, right the way through to most recently, we've just secured NBC Universal globally. And they really liked what we were doing in that diversity, equity, inclusion space to make the recruitment process more fair and equitable for candidates, with a lot of built-in feature functionality to help candidates who are both diverse and neurodiverse, physically able and limited, but as well as helping minimise biases for the evaluators on the client side as well. We've got a lot of special tech there that caught their eye, and a very proud moment as a founder to secure a company of the size of NBC Universal. So yeah.
I mean, I was just at Universal a couple months. It was incredible. Congratulations. Talk about the process. So what's the pain points they were experiencing? Like, Jane, we need what you have.
Yeah, it was, they were taking 20, 30 minutes per phone screen. So you can imagine NBC Universal have a significant volume of candidates that would be applying for roles. And so to enhance their process to not only become more efficient internally, but to really have a very rich brand immersed digital experience was what they really loved about the technology. So we solved an efficiency problem for them, number one. Number two, again, we have world first and world only still DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion features. So, for instance, that was really important to them. So, for instance, a candidate who perhaps has limited fine motor skills, they can go through the video interview just using their keyboard. Or for the visually impaired, we have feature functionality built in there to help them recognise the countdown timer, but also we've got video and audio questions rather than just text questions on the screen. So it was a mirage of those things that really caught their eye.
Yeah, your journey is really amazing, and what makes it even more amazing, you are a non-technical founder. So talk about some of the advantages and maybe the struggles of being a non-technical founder.
Yeah.
What's some advantages maybe first?
Well, I guess the advantage is I didn't have any preconceived notions about what was right or wrong. But again, that proved actually to be quite a struggle in itself as well, because I hired a tech director who had selected the technology they wanted to use, which was a very niche programming language called Clojure. And
locked into that.
Yeah, definitely locked into that. But it's an industrious language, so it had its benefits. But literally the day before I was about to receive all of my funding, I was going to give this tech director 10% of my company as well. He resigned. And so I just...
I'm going to have night sweats thinking about that tonight.
I'm just getting anxiety just from living the actual situation. So my background before I started this is in recruitment. So was in recruitment. So I literally put my recruitment hat on and just went deep trying to source another senior engineer who had Clojure experience. So networked my way through, found someone that I really liked, but unfortunately he had just accepted another role. He referred me to somebody else. This person was not going to be taking my calls, accepting a coffee invitation, nothing. He was happy, well looked after, first child on his way, that he just went, I'm not moving. So I said to my friend, please I just want to buy him a takeaway coffee. Just get me 2 minutes. That's all I want.
You're like, I did this on the dance floor, like.
So anyway, he agreed to a takeaway coffee, and 4 hours later of us talking, he agreed to go through the recruitment process, and now my technical director. So everything happens for a reason. But the day before I was about to receive the money and having to go back through to my shareholders or investors at the time, they weren't shareholders, and say, oh, by the way, I'm non-tech and we've just lost our tech director, so we're in a bit of pain, but let me instill confidence in you. I'm the product visionary. I'm the one that has a deep connection to the problem. This is just execution over here with the tech director. I'll find somebody else.
What did you say to him because again, totally happy, was not planning on leaving, was doing it probably to favor their friend. What did you say to him that ultimately you think convinced him to come on board?
Gosh, I don't know if there was one thing that I said, but I do remember being so passionate about the journey and the vision and how we were really changing the world for the better in the recruitment space to make hiring more fair and equitable for all, and also the points of difference in this DE&I space. And I think he really liked the idea of a challenge. I think he was in middle management but just a tremendously talented engineer, and so I think the idea to create rather than manage was, I think, what got him over the line.
Yeah, because I mean, oftentimes we think money is a big motivator, but that may be far on the list, because if he's with a secure company, it seemed like that wasn't like in the top couple of his decision to come to you.
Yeah, correct. And I mean, the interesting thing on money is I paid all of my engineers 20% over market. And that was intentional again, because it's cheaper than recruiter fees. Cheaper, yeah, I know that well. But also, if they're having a bad day, or if they feeling a bit stuck, or we had a disagreement about something, then they would have adjusted their lifestyle to their earnings, and protecting that from being poached by other startups or other corporates. So they're all still with me today.
That's a good lesson right there.
Yeah.
Where can people check out more about your company? Where should they go online?
Yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. It's Jane, Jane, and my surname Bianchini, Bianchini. Yeah, you can find me there.
And what's the website for the company?
So the company was called Alcami Interactive, but now with our new owners, it is Criteria Corp.
Check it out. Thanks, live from GLC.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.